Meeting to order.
Recording in progress.
This is the Weber County Commission meeting, February 1st, 10 o'clock a.m. We welcome you all here today. It's good to see your smiling faces. Our Pledge of Allegiance this morning will be done by Mr. Christopher Crockett, invocation by Ricky Hatch, and the thought of the day, which we all look forward to, is by Commissioner Jim Harvey. We'll go with that.
I don't see Crockett. Maybe I'll fill in for Chris. Thank you.
Oh, will you? Okay.
Please rise. Repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our kind, eternal Heavenly Father, we approach Thee this morning with gratitude for our blessings for this beautiful country and this beautiful county that we live in. We are grateful for the rights that You have given to us through nature of our own existence, and pray that today we can keep those rights as well as others in mind as we conduct the affairs of the people of Weber County. We love Thee and ask for these blessings in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, I would like to wrap my thought of the day in with the next item on our agenda. Anything we can do to help expedite this would be great. So
Sure, go ahead.
then I'll move right on, if I could, to item E, like Echo on our agenda, which is a proclamation recognizing Peterson, Inc. for receiving the Bechtel Global Supplier Award for 2021. You know, commissioners, and those of you who are here, and those of you who will be watching later, decades and decades and decades ago, out in the northwestern part of Weber County, there was a gentleman out there that tried to, or made his way by welding. Dennis Peterson. What a fantastic individual. I got to know and love Dennis. He served on our fair board for years, and just always smiling and happy, and had a very unique golf swing. But just a great man. And as a young father, and you both, I know you well enough to know that you both, Dennis did the same thing with his son, taught his son how to weld. In fact, he even took, he taught him all the intricacies of welding, and they were really good. They sold some of their wares, or hawked some of their wares in the language of some of the folks out there, but to some of the aerospace and some of the military early on, and many others. And they just did it. Because of the quality of their work, they were very successful, and they ended up adding more and more customers, and they grew and grew and grew, and ended up buying more and more property, and it just kept growing, and they added more and more and more, and it was really good. In fact, that welder I told you about, Dennis taught his son Steve how to weld. That old welder is still in Steve's office as a reminder of where he came from. That little welder out there. Well, through the years, they trained up a lot of great people, a lot of wonderful people. And it seemed, for me, having the privilege of being able to meet a lot of those people, all of them were men of character. Great examples of what real men are in life. Just super men of quality. They cared enough about their employees that they trained up them to take their place, and the employees did really well. In fact, some of the employees did so well, they taught them some of the craft of how to build a great business, and those employees had spun businesses off and are now help our Weber County businesses and other businesses across the globe doing great things for others. They just shared everything, shared, give, shared, continue to share. Early in my career, 35 years ago, I became acquainted with the smoothest probably character I've ever met in my life, Rob Despain. Now there's a distinction on how Dennis hit the golf ball and Rob hit the golf ball. Where Dennis would have that unique golf swing, Rob did too, but there was so much power in it, it'd go a long, long way and was usually really accurate. And it was amazing to me how he did it always with a telephone in his ear. You know, early on he was pulling a tin can and a string across the golf course getting deals done for Peterson, and then he had those big mobile phones, those bricks we remember, and always had stuff going on, big deals closing. But he was honorable. I've known him to be an honorable and charismatic guy as they come. Then I became acquainted being here with Mark Jenkins. Mark, so capable, always giving, always kind, always what's the best interest for the person. And he's one of our past chair of the Ogden Weaver Chamber of Commerce, as a matter of fact. And on we can go down every member. Just fantastic quality men. You know, I talked a little bit of Steve and his lovely wife Polly. They're givers. In fact, before going to the fairgrounds in 1994, there was an arena out there, Peterson Arena, Peterson Inc. Arena. So in the early stages, when Weaver County was trying to give back to rural communities, Steve had already, and the Peterson Inc. had already given some money to the Weber County so that they could have fairgrounds, a nice arena for people to practice and be involved out there. And they continue to give to rural Weber County. I know Steve is a rancher still now and helps with cows. He actually goes out and helps with cows. He pulls them if he needs to. I mean, he's actively involved in that. It's just amazing. Whenever Weber County, and even recently, within the last week, and in times past, I can't think of a time in my career, especially with Weber County, when I really needed something. I pick up the phone to Peterson, and they're always, let's find out a way to say yes. I love that attitude, find out a way to say yes. That's why they've been so successful. I'll now transition pretty much into the next segment of there, but I want to talk to, just before I do that, I want to just talk about the countless projects, and to summarize, when you talk about givers, it's not just to others, but it's to the community, it's to the church, many different types of churches, to people, to time and family, but to little people like me, who they believed in. And part of my character is defined because of the characters that have set such great examples to me at Peterson Inc. It's an honor to me to be able to present this proclamation to one of Utah's largest private employers. I love the company. I love what they do, but I especially love the people that I've been privileged to be associated with at Peterson Inc. So with that, can we have, well, I think all of you who are here with Peterson Inc., could I have you stand, please? Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor for me to read this proclamation, and thanks to you and your team and all those who you represent out there. Commissioners, this award from Bechtel is huge. We talk about people who build things. We have people who build a shed in their back garage, or maybe a house, or they might build a building somewhere. Bechtel is the kind of companies that build things like Kennecott, or they build things like communities, or they build things like megasites in totality. They're one of the world's largest
Recording
contractors.
stopped. Recording in progress.
Perfect. Just a little pause. We're back. Okay. This proclamation says as follows. Proclamation by the Weber County Commission recognizing Peterson Inc. for receiving the Bechtel Global Supplier Award for 2020 through including 2021. Whereas Peterson Inc. has been awarded Global Supplier by Bechtel for 2020 through 2021 for their contributions to the Hanford VIT plant project, and whereas companies were evaluated on multiple factors, including overall performance, ability to deliver quality services, and meeting or exceeding expectations of safety, performance, technical expertise, and environmental compliance, and whereas Peterson, Inc. of Ogden, Utah, and Pocatello, Idaho, built 2 300-ton melters to be used at the Department of Energy's Hanford VIT plant, which is a waste treatment plant and immobilization plant, and whereas the melters will safely process a portion of the 56 million gallons of radioactive and chemical waste generated during the Manhattan Project in the Cold War by mixing silica and other glass-forming materials, heating to 2100 degrees Fahrenheit, then pouring into stainless steel containers for disposal, and whereas designing and manufacturing the 2 melters, including 1,200-gallon energy drawings, and took nearly 3 years to fabricate, with a 3rd melter in fabrication as a spare, and whereas Peterson, Inc. is also currently manufacturing the stainless steel containers used to dispose of the waste, and whereas Peterson, Inc. is a worldwide industrial leader in custom fabrication, precision machining, and manufacturing services, and whereas Peterson, Inc. delivers the highest quality on-time products to their customers and serves many diverse industries such as aerospace, entertainment, industrial mining, and nuclear, and whereas Peterson, Inc. manufactures everything from roller coasters, mining equipment, and small, intricate machined parts to melters, glove boxes, and dry fuel storage casks for the nuclear industry. Now therefore be it resolved that the Weber County Commission, on behalf of the people of Weber County, does hereby proclaim that Peterson, Inc. has recognized a champion to citizens of Weber County. Presented this the first day of February 2022. It's signed by all 3 of us. That deserves a absolute warm round of applause if you join me. Commissioners, we have a small crystal. Now, for those of you here, I've already talked to Rob about this. This has a reverberation in this crystal. If you see Rob in the office singing to it, he'll just do it so he can hear back from what he's saying. I'd ask you to maybe get an example maybe when you're back there to maybe help him. But it comes with that. And we'd like to get some pictures if that's okay with all of you that are here. That's all right.
Please come up.
Jim, those were awfully nice words. And on behalf of 500, how many today, Dave? 85?
Almost. Slide around the center on this.
We're further.
That's it.
We're glad to have you here. Thank you. Here's your little award. Let me slide in there. Of course, you've got to make a wide space for me. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much, gentlemen. Appreciate you.
I'm good. I told her I would here to take pictures. Yeah, I've got a few. Do you want to go on first?
Take one quick, Chantel, and you're in here.
I don't think we're going to
you to invite you to the lectern, to give a little, like what you just did there, so people on the audio can hear you. And then I want you to know that you're welcome to stay. This is probably one of the most exciting meetings you'll attend in your life. Every Tuesday at 10, you're welcome to be here. But let us go back, and if you give us just a little song and dance, Mark or Robbie, or
Commissioners, on behalf of Peterson Incorporated, we're 580 strong, with about 520 of those residing in Weber County in our Far West operations. But we're humbled to be here. We just see ourselves as ordinary Joes in the county. We just show up and do our jobs every day, and it makes us pause and think about the importance of what we do when someone says, hang on a minute, let's draw some attention to what it is you've done. We've had the opportunity to be a part of the aerospace community and the entertainment. When we say entertainment, we're talking roller coasters and fun things, rides like Jimmy Fallon and roller coasters, Star Wars attraction, both in Los Angeles as well as Orlando. Those are part of Peterson's handiwork, building those attractions. But we're heavily involved in the nuclear industry. We take that very seriously because we're involved in cleaning up our past, making the environment safer for those that will come behind us. So we're excited. We're excited to be a part of Weber County, and for the record, we're all in. We'll do whatever it is that is asked of us. We're trying to be good citizens, good neighbors, good community partners, and on occasion you call us into action, and we like that. Actually, we're happy to be part of the team, but thank you. A proclamation is very special. I think in the 60 years of Peterson Incorporated, I don't recall a proclamation in any of our past. So this is certainly an honor to be here this morning and to have you guys take time from what it is you're doing in the county and recognize us. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. We appreciate it.
Rob? Mark?
That's the quickest speech I've ever heard Rob give. Commissioners, thank you for this recognition. You know, we have something at Peterson Inc. called the Peterson Way, and it's kind of threefold. The Peterson Way consists of, providing world-class products and services to our customers, which we take great pride in. And the other one is taking care of our team members and their families. And the one that I think is appropriate for today is giving back to the community. And we try and do that in many ways through money, but also in time and service. And so we appreciate the recognition by the community, not because we give back, just because that's where our heart is. That's where, like Rob mentioned, I mean, almost $30 million of payroll goes to this community from Peterson Inc. And so we appreciate the recognition. And I know that all of you have been in our shop, and I would offer an invitation to anyone to come into Peterson Inc. and see what we do. You know, a lot of people drive by the freeway and they see that big Peterson Inc. sign and have no idea what goes on inside the walls of that company. And so we appreciate the recognition. We appreciate your service and your support for this community, and we combine ours with yours to continue to grow Weber County and make it a great place to live. So thank you very much for this recognition. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. And thanks to you, Commissioner Harvey. All right, we'll go to item F for the consent items on our agenda. First item, F1, request for approval of warrants 5043 through 5068 and 455411 through 465411 through 465549 in the amount of $680,000, $52.92. Request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $995,554. Request for approval of new business licenses. F4 is request for attorney's offices for approval to surplus an Epson photo printer. Request for approval of the contract by and between Weber County and the following Ogden Musical Theater presentation of Little Women. These are different people associated with it. Chamber Orchestra of Ogden, Marilyn Montgomery, the director, Candace Bassett, stage manager, Ann Pusey, the musical director, and Bridget Lehman, the sound director. And number 6 is request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Callanish for entertainment at the Ogden or the Egyptian Theater's Celtic Celebration event. Commissioners, that's the consent items. Any questions or comments?
Done for me.
None from me.
I'm ready for a
Do you want to hear from
Go to Ricky.
Mr. Hatch?
oh yeah, I always forget that, Ricky. Sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
We issued 28 purchase orders this week for $996,000. Just under a third of that amount, or $300,000, was for the fleet to purchase vehicles for the sheriff's office. 15%, or $150,000, is for the conference center, which went primarily to food and beverage, but also some to building maintenance. 13%, or $130,000, was for the sheriff's office to purchase scopes, ammunition, and provide for drone services. 12%, or $123,000, was for IT, and that will go towards purchasing firewalls and software. And then 9%, or $85,000, is for the jail, which will go towards the kitchen floor replacement as well as inmate clothing. As far as warrants, we issued 165 checks this week for $680,000. 27% of that amount, $187,000, is for the jail to purchase food, medical care, HVAC replacement, mattresses, and building maintenance. 14%, or $96,000, is for the conference center, which is almost exclusively going towards the Egyptian theater floor. 12%, or $83,000, is for property management to purchase an excavator, and 9%, or $58,000, is for IT to purchase or to pay for phone upgrades as well as software.
Very good. Questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the consent items as presented.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. It's unanimous. Thanks, Ricky. Appreciate that. Item G1 is request for approval of contract by and between Weber County and Weber School District Foundation to hold the 2022 Christmas Tree Jubilee at the Ogden Eccles Conference Center and the Egyptian Theater. Marty, you're here today. No Cassie, huh?
I'll fill in, Commissioner, if that's okay.
That's
I'm
good.
sorry, I think yes, Cassie maybe. thought
All
she
right,
was
go
on
ahead.
consent. This is just, we're looking for approval for a contract with the Weber School Foundation for the Christmas Tree Jubilee event, which you know is held every Thanksgiving weekend at the Conference Center. They're a nonprofit and a long-standing customer of ours. So just looking for approval, similar to it is every year.
Great. Thank you, sir. Questions, commissioners?
None.
Me.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the contract as presented by Mr. Smith this morning.
I'll second that.
Very good. I don't look like either of you want to say anything, so all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Approved unanimous. Thanks, Marty. Item G2 is request for approval of contract by and between Weber County and Broken Heart Rodeo Company for the Intermountain Icebreaker High School Rodeo Invitational.
It's a big deal.
Invitational Rodeo.
Big deal.
Duncan Olson.
Morning,
Hello,
Commissioners.
Duncan.
Morning.
Can't believe that we're already to the icebreaker contract.
Yeah.
That means we're almost to March and almost to springtime. But this is our standard contract between us and Broken Heart. We've grown this event into over a $500,000 economic impact for the community. We bring in kids from 14 different states. As last I heard, we've got a kid from Alaska this year and a couple from Canada. So it's turned international to some sense. But we're really excited to have it the end of February, 1st of March.
So last year that ended up being a whopper.
Yeah, it was bigger than I think we even were prepared for. Hopefully we're we're in a better place this year, but we're hoping for similar numbers.
Great, that's good to hear. Any questions?
No, I just want to point out that this is a Weber County-produced event. It's the largest high school rodeo in the state of Utah, larger than the state high school finals. It's one that was created by the staff out there, and it's never going to move anywhere because we created it, we founded it, and it's a good deal for us. But it also brings familiarity all across the western United States to our facility. It's wonderful. Duncan, you and your staff have done a wonderful job. And with that, Mr. Chair, if you're ready, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the contract that was presented for the Intermountain Icebreaker High School Rodeo Invitational Rodeo by Mr. Olson.
Have a motion?
Second?
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Unanimous. Thanks, Duncan, we appreciate you. Item G3 is a request for approval of a franchise agreement by and between Weber County and Liberty Broadband LLC for the purpose of installing, operating, and maintaining communication systems within the public right-of-ways of Weber County. Sean Wilkinson.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Hi,
Thank
Sean.
you. So, Commissioners, this is very similar to a few other franchise agreements we've approved recently. Liberty Broadband is now requesting this agreement so that they can install broadband infrastructure in Weber County, and I believe they will start up in the Ogden Valley. The terms are the same as the previous agreements. This is a 30-year term with the option to reach up to 50 years on a year-to-year basis. So, Commissioners, any questions that you have on this agreement?
Commissioners?
No, this is, lets the people know that they're going to have reliability for years to come. That's good.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
Thank
No
you.
questions? I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the franchise agreement by and between Weber County and Liberty Broadband for the purpose of installing, operating, and maintaining a communication system within the public right-of-ways of Weber County. And I would just say this is just a continuation of other franchise agreements that hopefully will start improving broadband service in parts of our county.
Thank you, Commissioner Faur.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harvey. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That's unanimous. Next up, G4, is a request for approval of cooperative agreement by and between Weber County and the Utah Department of Transportation for use of the county construction and demolition landfill. Sean?
Thank you. Commissioners, previously, UDOT signed a cooperative agreement with the county to dispose of waste from their road maintenance projects at our construction and demolition landfill out on 12th Street. This agreement would be a continuation of that previous agreement. This would be for a 5-year term. UDOT would pay the current $18 per ton, and Molding and Sons would then bill UDOT monthly for the waste it brings to the landfill, and they would then pay the landfill, and the county would then get our reimbursement. So it's a good contract for us. We like to be good partners, and I would ask for your approval of this contract.
Commissioners, any questions?
No, none for me. Whenever you're ready for a motion.
ready.
Yeah, I'm happy to make it. So I would move to approve the cooperative agreement by and between Weber County and the UDOT for use as the county's construction and demolition landfill on West 12th Street.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
You bet. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. It's unanimous. G5 is a request for approval of a memorandum of agreement by and between Weber County and the Federal Lands Access Program, a Causey Reservoir Access Project. Sean Wilkinson.
Thank you. So, Commissioners, we've kind of gone all over the place with these agreements today, and this is an agreement with the Federal Highways Administration for the Federal Lands Access Program. This agreement would allow for improvements, access improvements at Causey Reservoir, and those improvements would start in the federal fiscal year 2025. Now, just for a few details, most of the improvements include repaving roads. So Causey Road, which goes from Highway 39 up to the dam, that would be repaved. We would replace the Beaver Creek Bridge that is on that stretch of Causey Road. There would be improvements to Skullcrack Road and Wheatgrass Road, both paving and structural improvements, and some additional parking as part of this project. The total cost is about $11,450,000. Of that, Weber County will pay $175,000 as a cash match, and we will also contribute to any right-of-way acquisition or utility relocation costs that are associated with that Beaver Creek Bridge replacement. But for an $11+ million project, that's a small contribution, and we get a big bang out of this project. So we're looking forward to this happening, and I would request your approval.
So see, that's about 1%, isn't it, Commissioner Farrar?
Close to it, yeah. It seemed like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah.
Comment, if I could.
Yes, please.
Mr. Chair. So it's great to see this finally come to the contract stage. For those that may not be aware, this is actually a project that was started over a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, with the Forest Service. Forester Sean Harwood was actively involved. Our Economic Development Department was actively involved with working with the Forest Service. As we all know, Causey has had some issues this past number of years because of the overuse. We've had issues with the department because of people parking on the dam. We've had our own parking issues up there that Weber County jumped in to solve and expanded the parking lot with some cooperation from the Forest Service. So it's great to see this come about. $11 million+ with $175,000 input from the county. I don't think anybody could say that's not a fantastic business deal for Weber County and the citizens that use Causey and will allow them to continue to use it. I wish it was prior to 2024, but we'll take it when it gets here. Right. So appreciate your work on this and your team on this, Sean, as well.
Thank you. Commissioners, may I just add that originally our match would have been $375,000, but the Forest Service Regional Office stepped up and contributed an additional $200,000, so we really appreciate that.
Commissioner Harvey?
No, I think this is, you know, in the 5 years I've been here, we started down this road, and I really appreciate the interactions of you, Mr. Wilkinson, certainly Sean Harwood with the Forest Service, and the two of you commissioners. You guys have seen the vision. We've been able to leverage a little bit for a whole lot that'll benefit a lot of people Weber County to recreate. So this is a wonderful program. I'm ready to make a motion when you're ready to accept.
Well, there is one thing I'd like to say about this. You know, we decided to send our grader up, or not grader, but it was a cat. Yeah, dozer. Thank you. And to grub that parking area. And we were into that, 10 hours? Yeah. Something like that, day and a half, yeah. And we kind of extended the hand of peace a little bit to the Forest Service on that. That was something they couldn't get to, and we said that we would, and we helped them out, and they really appreciated that. And I don't know if that had anything to do playing into this. Didn't hurt. But it didn't hurt. That's right, Commissioner Ford, it didn't hurt. And it just makes me really happy that we're able to do that. And this is some of the success we feel, you know. And I like to say, I don't know if there was directly anything, but indirectly, it showed good faith on our part.
Did.
All right, I am ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 5 on our agenda to approve this memorandum of agreement between Weber County and the Federal Lands Access Program at Causey.
And I'm happy to second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioners. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thanks.
Sean, we appreciate that. All right, we have a public hearing today for a couple items, so I'm looking for a motion to go into a public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we are now in a public hearing. First item on the public hearing is to discuss and or take action on a county-initiated ordinance to amend various sections of the Weber County Land Use Code to define and regulate animal grazing, animal feed operations, and large concentrated animal feed operations, and to include general administrative and clerical amendments to create a more efficient land use code. So, Charlie, before I go to you, I just want you to know, Commissioners, the late last night I got an email from Johnny Miller he's our USIP president.
Not the golfer.
No, not the golfer. And he in that said that if any had not approved one of these CAFO operation permit or zoning, that today was the last day, and it had not been extended by the legislature at the time he wrote that. So we really debated and just thought for sure it was going to be extended. And unless it happened right now, it didn't happen.
Right. Yep. Hasn't happened yet.
Right. And we're aware of.
We've been keeping our eye on that. Yeah. So today is the last day to take action by midnight tonight. If you don't take action on creating a CAFO or an LCAFO ordinance, large concentrated animal feed operation ordinance, then after this you won't be able to regulate it. So here we are attempting to put together an ordinance to regulate it, and if we need to change that ordinance in the future, the state code doesn't say we can't change it or make modifications or amendments to it. It just says that if we haven't acted by today, we won't be able to in the future. So what you have in front of you guys is an ordinance that addresses a few things, but let's talk about terminology first. In your current land use code, you've got raising and grazing of various types of animals. So, in other words, sending animals out to pasture. You've got the supplemental feeding of animals, which means animals go out to pasture, but in the wintertime you've got to feed them because you're not growing anything during the wintertime. And then you got the full feeding of animals, which essentially is your feedlots. So, and our code also calls those feed yards. It calls them feedlots, or a lot of different terminologies here. We're trying to streamline those terminologies into more efficient terms and follow in suit with what the state code did last year when they created the LCAFO Act, in which we have animal feed operation as one, concentrated animal feed operation or large concentrated animal feed operation as another, and then raising and grazing as the third. So just combining everything together. So what you see in the ordinance in front of you, you'll see strikeouts in things like raising and grazing of hogs and hog farms and horses and cows and whatever. You'll see those all stricken in favor of replacing it with just the raising and grazing of animals. And then the feedlots or the feed yards, you'll see stricken with either concentrated animal feed operation or large concentrated animal feed operation. So just making sure all the terminology is straight as we move forward. Last year, the state legislature adopted the LCAFO ordinance and told the counties, you've got until today to adopt it. Here we are cutting close to the wire there, but we've got it in front of you. Essentially what we are recommending, so a concentrated animal feed operation under state code, I won't go over the entire definition, but these are large operations. These are 700 dairy cow, 1,000 steer. I don't remember how many thousands of chickens we're talking about, but we're talking really big operations, ones that have the potential of creating dust, noise, smell, and other community impacts. The Planning Commission has recommended that we limit the ability to do concentrated animal feed operations except for in the most intense agricultural zone and the most intense manufacturing zone, so the A3 zone and the M3 zone. After working with you guys just a little bit in work session, we also added in there a provision that if you're going to do a concentrated animal feed operation, you cannot locate it closer than a quarter of a mile or 1,300 feet from a property line. So that essentially guarantees that these LCAFOs, if they do arise in Western Weber County, that they'll be completely contained within at least a half-mile wide piece of property. So keeping them pretty far away from other properties. We also have in the ordinance that they will not be within half a mile of a residential zone boundary or a zone that allows residences. So. Those are that's actually the meat and potatoes of what you have in front of you. We did put in, there are a couple of minor clerical edits that we noticed needed to be addressed, but they're not substantive to animal feed operations. Any questions for me on that?
Questions, Commissioners?
Not for me.
No, I'm good. Thank you for
I
that
do have a
explanation.
couple questions I want to ask, but I do it out of the sense I want the public to realize what's happening here. Number one, we have two dairies out there that are extremely large. they're grandfathered in under this, right?
They are, yes.
Okay. Number two, does this include the Upper Valley in any way?
It does. It essentially says that in the unincorporated county area, only the A3 and M3 zones are allowed to have them by conditional use permit, and the Ogden Valley doesn't have any A3 or M3. So it affects them by saying it's not allowed.
Okay, so just so everybody knows, I was very opposed to this. And the reason I was is because Western Weber County is now starting to develop. We're seeing very actively development going out there, and it's going all the way out to the industrial area where the M3 zones are. So I just felt like Weber County no longer had room for something like this. I felt like it was time to be done with them, and they should go to Box Elder County or a little further away. Well, under this the way this bill was originally passed, if we don't act on it, then we can't control our future. And they can come in here and do some of this without us. So they're forcing us into this. And I'm not really happy about it, but that's life. That stupid legislature, they do some of the damnedest things down there.
Usually out of the Senate, let's be correct.
Sorry, I'm not
Yeah,
familiar with
yeah, the baloney. I'm sure, let's see. Oh, actually, he is a senator, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
That's point well taken.
Oh, yeah, point well taken on this one. I'll be danged. Well, anyway, he got it wrong.
There you go.
Well, Sandoval got this wrong, but anyway, he got it. And that's what matters here. So, very good. I have nothing else to say on this then. Thanks, Charlie. Well, with that, we'll go to the next item on our public hearing. And that is, well, the next item we're going to hold has had to do with the development on 5100 West. Randy Giordano, and we decided yesterday to hold this. And so we go to item 4, which is a consideration of an ordinance vacating a 10-foot public utility easement located along the western boundary of Lot 3 in Fox Crossing subdivision. Now, Tammy's not here, so we've got
Yes.
Felix.
Felix. Yeah, Felix, good having you today. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Be a pleasure to present this to you before you this morning. So, in this case, what we've done is we've prepared an ordinance to vacate a public utility easement. And this is in a residential area. It's on a lot. Someone has their house there. They want to build an accessory building in the back. And so what they did is they submitted a site plan with the setbacks, and then we're looking at the setbacks and making sure that they can actually place the building where they want it. But then unfortunately there's an easement in the way. And so what we did is we provided an avenue for them to petition the county engineer and the county commissioners to vacate an easement so they can put that building where they want. So that's what brings us here today. So with that, we've gone through the state requirements of making sure we've fulfilled the noticing requirements. The responsibility on the county commission would be to ensure that good cause exists for this vacation, and the public interest or any person will not be materially injured by the proposed vacation. So if the county finds that this proposal does meet those, then the staff recommends approval of that. And any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Questions, Commissioners?
For me, thank you.
Yeah, we looked at, did our planning commission look at this as well? Or you go to
The engineering and planning look at this. Yep.
Okay. Well, I don't have any questions either. All right, thanks, Felix.
Thank you.
So we'll go to the public comments on this now. If there's anybody who is here today who would like to comment on this, would you please come forward? Now's your time. We would love to hear from you. Tick tock, tick.
Anybody online, Mr. Chair?
Shelley, anybody online? Okay, there's nobody online, nobody here. Well, if that's the case, then nobody wants to get up. We're going to close the public comment.
Chair, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the public hearing and reconvene the public meeting.
Very good.
Second?
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. We're now back into our standard meeting. So the first item on there, if we care to make an action on this, is H2 on the CAFO unit.
Mr. Chair, I'm
Yes.
prepared to make a motion.
Yes, go ahead.
Whenever you're ready.
Or-
So I would move to approve our ordinance 2022-06, amending the various sections of the Weber County Land Use Code to define and regulate the animal grazing, animal feeding operations, and large concentrated animal feeding operations, and also to include administrative and clerical amendments to create a more efficient land use code, and I'd make that with a comment if I might.
Please.
So I think we'd both agree not everything they do at the state is necessarily entirely good most of the time, or all the time. This is something we have been forced into by ordinance, and I've been told by a couple of sources that this bill sponsor does plan on making some amendments, but unfortunately, we're under the deadline to get this done today. So,
Right.
But I think we put the proper guide rails around our ordinance to, if in fact this was to come to Weber County, which I don't believe that we are very susceptible to this just because of our land prices. I don't see this as a use that's economically feasible, but in the event that somebody decides otherwise or we see a change in the economy, this gives us adequate protection, so, for the
Thank
future.
you.
So that's my motion to approve.
We have a motion.
I'll second that, and also I agree with the comments that Commissioner Faure made.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. I would like to also comment on this. I just not happy with it, but I don't see where we have another choice the way the legislation's come down. And let it be known, as far as our knowledge, at 10:51 today, nothing's been passed through the legislature that we're aware of. So with that in mind, I'm going to call the motion. All in favor of this, say aye.
Roll call.
This is a
Roll call.
I'm sorry, Lynn. Go ahead.
Commissioner, this is ordinance 2022-06. Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Frower?
Aye.
Chair Jenkins?
Aye. Very good. The next one up is the vacating of the 10-foot easement. We've been through that too, and I don't see an issue here. Commissioner Frower.
So, Commissioner, I'll make a motion that we approve the vacation of that easement as was presented by Felix Yavarino.
And I'll second that.
Oh, hold on. You got to get that.
That would be, I'd like to amend my motion to include ordinance 2022-07.
And I'll second that.
Very good.
Hold on, there's one thing. I didn't see it because I'm colorblind. I actually couldn't see it. So, thank you, though.
Okay, we
Sorry.
have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Frower?
Aye.
Chair Jenkins?
Aye. It passes. Thank you very much, Lynn and Felix. Thank you for your presentation. You too, Charlie. Next item on our agenda is commissioner comments. Commissioners, would you care to comment, either of you?
We're excited to continue. We've got another obligation at 11 o'clock. Well, Commissioner Furrow, you've kind of set this up for us. Tell them what it is.
Well, I think this is the Chamber and the Bank of Utah put on an annual economic forecast. We've got Professor Gochner from the U of U. I think she's private business. I'll be there, and a couple other. So it's good to see them bring this show to Weber County as we look at the economic forecast. We know that the economic development in Weber County is fast and furious, but it'll be interesting to see their perspective as far as what they think the future holds. So I'm anxious to see it.
It's wonderful. Yeah, they're great.
No, I agree with this. I look forward to this every year. This is a little bit of academia's look into the future of the county and what they think is happening that's notable.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. Very good. What about a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. We are adjourned.